Alright guys, welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So for today, I'm going to go over an email that was sent from a subscriber. That's from a guy. He is 54 years old, and he shares his story starting when he was a teenager about this gal that he knew, that gal that obviously was the object of his affection, that he was really into, and of course wasn't interested in him. Was only interested in this Chatter Tyrone scumbag who he told her flat out was trouble, but she was with him anyway. And our guy went from being a young kid in the 8th grade to being the typical nice guy to eventually transitioning to be the bad boy type. And you're going to see in this story, guys, how this gal just keeps coming back into his life. And when things don't obviously work out with the guy she wanted, and this guy tells her, hey, you got your shot with me. If you pass this up, don't ever come back again. Of course, she comes back, proving, number one, that they always come back. Always, when they want something. And two, when a woman has a certain perception of a guy, whether that perception is reality or not, it's darn near impossible to shake that. That's why a gal could have a guy that they treated like crap years before, a boyfriend, and he kept taking her back and putting up with her BS, and she breaks up with him and cheats on him or whatever, and then 20 years later she shows up thinking he'll take her back like she's some kind of prize, even though she's gained 100 pounds and has tattoos all over the place, and you get my point. She still thinks he'll take her back because of the perception. And that'd be a very good one to point that out here. And you're going to see here, this gal coming after him goes on for decades into the 50s. So it'll be a pretty funny one there to go over here. So it's a quick story, guys, but definitely worth your time. He says, "Hi, SSM. Honestly, I'm debating about sending this in, but if someone learns from my mistakes, being a sucker is for the birds. Being a man, WHORE, left me empty. It took me over 40 years and radically changing my approach to finally finding a woman who's worth my time. They do exist. Too many stories for one email, but it all started with Blondie." Well, I'm sure looking back at your life, if it was me, I'd rather be an empty man, WHORE, than a sucker any day. It says here, 54 years old. I've been in virtually all of the male positions from the friend zone to the man, WHORE. I met the first one, Blondie, that screwed me up when we were in the 8th grade. Of course, she was the greatest thing since sliced bread, and she wrapped me around her little finger. I was young, stupid, and in the friend zone. Dude, you were in the 8th grade. You were 13, 14 years old. We were all pretty clueless back then. These words actually came from her mouth. I'm 16 years old, I'm a virgin, and the guy I've been dating 2 years has VD. In the time between her sweet 16 and graduation, I managed to learn how to ask girls out and actually had them say yes. Then came the ability to get second dates and so on. Okay, over time your game improved. You learned some things. That's how it works. Bear in mind, this was in the 80s and in a southern, not big city, so it was actually a challenge to get around the bases because stigma and shame were still things. Imagine that. At 18 years old, I had figured out the formula. I lived on my own, had a job, and had the confidence, and most importantly, I was enough of a bad boy to be exciting and enough good guy that they all felt safe. There you go, you found the sweet spot, the perfect balance. All I had to do was tell them that as far as I was concerned, we could go get a pizza and play air hockey, or we could fool around or anything in between. It was up to them to draw the line, and I wouldn't cross it. I never asked for it, never forced myself on anyone. I even turned down more than one when they were drunk. I wasn't going to be that guy. So, okay, you were doing your own thing. You were independent, you had your own job, you were making your money, and you can go have fun, but you weren't asking for a relationship, you weren't doing any of that. And there you go, but you weren't an a-hole. This began a period when my reputation was, he only wants in your panties. And to be honest, it was pretty much true. I just tossed the ball into their court and said, if that's what you want, I'm in. Well, contrary to the bad programming that a lot of young guys get, that's a lot of gals go for because they want to play too, as we all know nowadays. And the guys that they sense are nice guys, they're going to get clingy and want to lock them down to a relationship, they don't go for them. But the guys they know darn well aren't going to call them back, they just want to have fun and they may never see them again, hey, they're after them. Blondie introduced me to her cousin and told me to show her around and show her a good time. It turned out that her cousin wanted to do more than air hockey, so I obliged her. And Blondie was shocked when her cousin told her, go figure. In spite of everything, in spite of my rutting pig lifestyle, I would have dropped it all for Blondie if she wanted me to. I was still wrapped around her finger. It's amazing how so many guys will have that one girl, usually from childhood, high school, college era, extending into that era, that just whatever it is about them, for whatever reason, they're putty in their hand. It's amazing. At 19 years old, Blondie even went so far as to invite me to her wedding, to VD guy. This actually snapped the spell out of me. I told her that she was out of her mind, that marrying a guy that cheated on her was doomed before it happened. And then when it did fail, don't come looking for me because I wouldn't be around. So he warns this girl that obviously he liked, and obviously she, was in his life. This guy you're marrying is a piece of garbage. It's going to end badly, but hey, you have your shot with me, but, don't come crying to me, and you'll see how this plays out. Fast forward about 5 years, I was 24 years old, had a house, and my first actual relationship, which is another story. But I was happy and monogamous. When who walked into the auto shop where I worked? Blondie. I wonder why she's there. Maybe because it didn't work out like you told her. She had looked me up, phone books, man, and she wanted to tell me that she was split with VD hubby and wanted to see what I was up to. Nope. You had your chance back in the day. My intentions were quite clear. You weren't interested in me. You were interested in the guy that was VD guy, who's a serial cheater and a lowlife. Now the part that your listeners will appreciate. He says here, I looked her in the eye and asked her if she remembered what I told her the last time we spoke. That it would be the last time. That she would come, that if she would come looking for me, that I'd be happy and not there for her. And she replied yes. I gave her a death stare dead in the eyes and said, I told you so. And the best thing she could do was think of me as someone who fell off the face of the earth. Never call me again. Never approach me. And never even think that I'll give a damn about her because she had her chance and fucked it up. Well, you really did have the hots for her back then. But you told her. You gave her a chance. But you were the bad boy with some standards. And you were the redeeming bad boy, if you will. I guess bad boy with two little B's. But the other guy was a total Tyrone scumbag. And you warned her. She had her chance. She cried, of course she did, and said okay. A couple years later, I saw her about 30 feet away in Kmart, and she dropped off her stuff and then turned to walk away from me. Fast forward again to my 30s, she was married to a local political guy at the same slant as me, and so I'd see her occasionally, always at a distance and without speaking. Then one day in my 40s, I was driving my work truck down the road and saw her broken down on the side of the road. I stopped and asked if she needed me to call someone. She looked at me like a deer in the headlights. Evidently, I'd really put the reality into her in my 20s. I told her that there was no need to freak out. I'm just offering assistance like I would for any woman on the side of the road. She untensed visibly and said no, she had a help en route. I chatted with her for a minute, and then being a dick, I did finish the chat by asking her if she realized that I would have offed someone for her. She said yes, and she did know. Of course she knew. Fast forward to just a few months ago. Now he's in his 50s. Her political hubby died a few years ago, and my phone rang. It was Blondie, and she was asking if I'd be interested in getting together for coffee. This all started in their teenage years, and now they're in their 50s. Right? I told you, they always come back as long as they have incentive and something they want. If not, she would never contact me again. I said no, I'm not interested. I hung up and looked to the right and told the best woman in the world exactly what that call was about. And there you go. It's a short story, like I said in the beginning here, but like I said, guys, they always come back. And, as a young guy, he went from nice guy stage, which, let's be honest, most of us have done, to learning some things and became the bad boy. But the bad boy has some principles and some redeeming features there. And he told this girl who was with a total scumbag, we all have known that girl, who just didn't want to hear it. He made it clear he was into her. And this guy wasn't exactly a guy that gals didn't want. But she went and married the scumbag, and he told her it was going to work. And don't come after me afterwards. But of course she comes anyway thinking she could change his mind because, as I say all the time, when a woman has a certain perception of a guy, it's darn near impossible to shake that. So if she thinks that you were obsessed with her 20 years ago, and she could have you in a heartbeat. That's the perception she's going to have right now. It's amazing, even though a guy can completely turn his life around. And so you see that, and you also see they always come back, always. So probably what might happen is, because our man here is married, she's going to probably do some digging on him. You know, who knows? He could be on social media. Who knows? And if it ever got out that he and his wife divorced, or something happened to her, I guarantee she'll be calling him up in her 60s or 70s looking for a chance. But they always come back. Anyhow, guys, short story. I thought you'd find this pretty entertaining. By the way, thank you for bearing with me with the on again, off again rain. We're about to get hit hard here in Florida for a few days. And by the way, before you all smart asses say, SSM, you're in Florida. Duh, it's going to rain. I have news for you. Apparently, there's a dry season, and it has barely rained the last 2 months at all. So, all right, guys, that is it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. And, guys, you got a good story like this, share. Definitely email it to me. strongsuccessfulmale@gmail.com. Just give me some time to get to it, and I definitely will when I get the chance. And this is also not just for this channel, but also good stories you can find online, on particularly Reddit for the They Do What channel or the SSM Clips. I said this a lot lately, that my channel and channels like mine aren't exactly getting promoted by YT these days. The overlords are on overdrive this time of the year. And so anytime you can share this with your friends or family, anybody that's into this, definitely appreciate it. It definitely helps out. We got to spread the word, and believe me, it's an uphill battle. And be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. And I'll catch you next time.